Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Paul here. Yes, it's true that I've been a bit disconnected from YouTube lately and specifically from this channel. So there's a big reason why. So essentially I'm ready to move essentially countries. So I'm actually prepping myself for that. So I'll be sharing with you soon enough everything around my new country, my new place, etc. and so forth. So I'll be most likely setting up a video and a post around that and the experience that was actually of living in Barcelona for almost 6 years now, and then what is it that I'm heading towards. Okay, so today we're going to be focusing on leadership. Okay, so leadership is actually fundamental for anyone on their day-to-day life, or actually let's say at a professional level. Okay, so today I'll be focusing on this challenge, let's say, that some of us have on actually how to become leaders. Okay, I'm a believer that you can become a leader. Okay, so I'll be sharing my experience also with regards to that, and essentially I'm going to be talking about the natural born leaders versus the reluctant leaders, let's say. So on that I'll be sharing my experience, learnings, and then pitfalls. Okay, so my tips and how is it that you can actually become a leader with that in mind, with all of those challenges. Okay, so with that said, buckle up, let's go for the first one. Okay, let's go into this one. So to start from, let's talk about the elephant in the room. That are those. Okay, those are massive Legos. Okay, yes, that is correct. Okay, so amazing piece of Legos that are put together. So maybe I'll do a video on those sometime. I don't know, in the future. Okay, but talking about what is it that is actually connecting us to this point. So you have, I would say, two types of leaders starting from very high level. So you have what we call natural born leaders, and then you have the reluctant leader. Okay, so let's start with that. Let's start with that title, shall we? So a natural born leader is exactly that. Someone that from early age already was thinking on becoming a leader, was leading the group of kids, was already like thinking most likely and had the ambition, let's say, as well, of actually becoming a leader of his own team, being an entrepreneur, or even becoming a CEO or a president or something. Okay, so that is what we could call like a natural born leader. Okay, on the flip side you have the reluctant leader. Okay, so what is this about? So essentially someone that, due to whatever circumstances, let's say, was pulled a bit into this position, maybe because he or she or whoever the person was someone that had good performance, had trust from everyone else, was able actually to influence others, and for that set of reasons and due to the circumstances that were taking place, he or she or whoever the person was actually called to become then a leader of something. Okay, that was exactly what happened to me. Okay, so I was comfortable enough, let's say, to be a bit on the background, not very like focus on taking the spotlight, let's say, up to a certain point, and then meaning I was forced, between brackets, to become a leader. Okay, so this started at the age of 27. Okay, so some years ago. Okay, so on top of that, and then following up all of that, this is where you need really to take let's say some key points and be attentive, let's say, that this is a situation or of swim or sink. Okay, so with that said, I'll be then breaking it down. What are the top challenges that you should be mindful of, and then what are then the top things, let's say, in terms of tips or learnings, let's say, that I had throughout my career up to now that I'm an associate director at a consultancy. What is it that I actually learned from leading teams of 2, 3, 5 people, let's say, up to I'd say now roughly almost 20 people and growing. Okay, with that said, don't go anywhere and stick around. So we're going to be starting with the first one. So let's go into this. So talking about leadership challenges. Okay, so one of the first that comes across my mind immediately is actually, can you actually become a leader? Okay, so my personal thoughts with regards to that is that yes, you can actually become a leader, or you can become a better leader, let's put it like that, and I'll be addressing that on the last part of this video. Okay, so outside of that, there is another one that actually comes across my mind, that is managers versus leaders, or is it that the manager and the leader are actually the same? Okay, my personal thoughts, and I'm guessing I'm not alone on this one based on my own experience. I would say that a manager essentially is someone that actually meaning understands the team, can develop the individuals that are part of that same team, can actually shield the team from any kind of politics and pressure that comes from outside. But I would say that there is a kind of a misconception on the fact that not good, meaning in the sense that not all good managers are actually good leaders, and vice versa. Okay, so you can actually have meaning a manager that is a leader as well, but that is not always the case. Okay, so that is one of the challenges. How is it that you can actually become, outside of being a good manager, you can actually become a good leader? So in my way of seeing this, I would say that meaning if you want to become a good leader, you need to go and think beyond your own team. You need to think, how is it that the different pieces actually come together? You need to be able to actually to share a vision, or being able to find a way of actually getting through this. So that is one of the challenges, let's say, that meaning you can come across, at least I came across, meaning having this difficulty of how to work as a leader versus being a manager, and vice versa. Okay, so then the other point that I would say that it has to do with some of the challenges that you can actually come across is the fact that meaning the difficulties of scaling a team. Okay, so meaning I started with a team of 2-3 people, let's say, up to the point that I went up to 12 people, almost 20 people now, and most likely I'll continue on growing. Okay, so that can be a challenge in itself. How is it that you can actually manage the team, lead the team in a way that makes sense for everyone? Okay, then the other point is that I would say that is a bit of a challenge, that is meaning trust people. Okay, that can be a challenge in several shapes or manners. Okay, one thing is, if you don't trust the team in itself, so you are doing really a terrible service to yourself and to the team, because most likely you're gonna have people that are actually quite meaning talented and have the potential actually to go beyond. But on the flip side, and I can tell you about my own experience, was that meaning I trusted the wrong people, okay, to become my second, let's say, and what I got on that was a backstab. Okay, so it was painful at the time, but I can say to you that actually it was in my benefit as well, because as people say, life happens to you, not against you. Okay, so that was part of my learning as well. So how to trust, okay, how to avoid being backstabbed, but at the same time, how to trust people or those that actually should be trusted. Okay, so this is actually part of the challenge. Okay, so then as I mentioned before, and talking about being a manager and a leader, the managers need to do the right things, okay, or need to do things right, while leaders need to do the right thing. Okay, and that moment in time, I would say, a good manager, but not still, I would say, a good leader. Okay, so I thought that I was actually doing the right thing, okay, and I was giving the power to that person, but at the same time, I was not able, I did not have the ability to actually to block that person of becoming even more toxic around the team and having the wider vision. Okay, so I would say that is the thing that almost all good leaders have in common. They are able to step back and see the bigger picture, and actually to be able to share the vision in a in a way that is clear for everyone. Okay, so that is the other challenge. Then another challenge that I came across is the do or die kind of situations, meaning sometimes you have situations that you need to choose. Okay, you don't have a lot of intel or information that you can actually leverage in order to actually to take the best possible decision, but that is definitely one of those points that sometimes you really need to take a decision. The risk of failure is gigantic and the probability of success is really low. Okay, so that is another challenge that most likely you will come across if you want to become a leader. Okay, then the other point that I think it's most likely one of the most important ones is around people. Okay, so I already shared about a bit some of the thoughts around that with the backstabbing episode that happened to me, but then on the flip side, I would say that you need actually to invest in people. That is part of the challenge. How to invest, when to invest, trust people, and knowing that sometimes or most of the times you're going to be alone, because meaning being a leader is not about being popular. Okay, this is not a popularity contest. It's about doing the right things. Okay, know where to go. Then the other point I think that is part of the challenge that has to do with people is to be mindful and to engage with people at different levels and different ways. Okay, that sometimes in itself is really difficult. Then the other part that is important for you to be mindful of is you need to know, and that is part of the challenge, is how to delegate, how and when to invest, okay, on people. Okay, so those are some of the things that I would say that are part of the challenge. Okay, so but as I mentioned before, I will close this one sharing what were my learnings and what are my learnings still, and some of the solutions and tips that would allow you hopefully to become a better leader. Okay, so stick around, don't go anywhere. Let's close with this one. Okay, let's go into this one. This is all about learning and solutions. Okay, what were indeed my learnings? Okay, so let me just put this there. Okay, so essentially, getting back to the question that I raised on the previous part, that is how to become a leader. Okay, so essentially, I will try then to share with you some tangible leadership, let's say, takeaways. Okay, that I learned since I actually started to become a manager. Okay, that I was forced into leadership, let's say, and then how is it that I evolved up to now. So when I was roughly 27, so I was forced into a situation of leadership, although I did not thought that I was even ready for that. Okay, but nevertheless, what is it that I've learned since then? Okay, some key takeaways. Okay, one that would be, the first one would be inspiration. Okay, I would say that it's fundamental that you know how to inspire people. Why? Okay, because if you want to scale, if you want to grow, okay, you don't lose time being a micromanager. You cannot lose time being a micromanager, because as the team grows, as Napoleon used to say, you know, it's like you need to give the vision, you need to be a general, okay? And in order to be such a person, you cannot be like focused on micromanagement, or else you're going to be spending all of your time on that. So you need to make them believe what is actually the correct path to go. Okay. So then the other point that I would say that I learned throughout my years as being a manager and a lead as well was around engagement. Okay. I think it's really, really important to know how to engage. And there is one specific point that I would like to underline while speaking about this. Knowing how to engage does not mean that you need to be diplomatic all the time. Does not mean that you need to be nice all the time. It means that you need to be firm. It means that you need to know how to communicate at a given moment, at different levels, in different ways. Okay, and sometimes you need to be firm. You need to be able to read the environment. Okay, you need to be able to read the people to know how to get your message across. Okay, that would be my key takeaway with this one in terms of engagement. Okay, then the other one is around communication. Okay, I would say that in communication there is one golden rule, okay, and that is around being clear. You need to be clear on the way you communicate, okay? You need to make sure that people understand. You need to make sure that they know what needs to be done. You need to be able to share the vision in a way that is easy to read, to understand, so that people will follow, okay? Then the other point that is important in terms of my learnings has to do with delegation, okay? For me, it was really easy, okay, but I know that there are other people with other different type of mindsets, and they tend to be really power freaks or control freaks. In my case, I would say that for me it was easy, okay? So for me, it's all about not wasting time on everything, okay? Meaning delegate. You have people out there that are much more talented than yourself doing specific things, okay? Just empower them, delegate. I think that is really, really important, so that people understand that they can contribute, they can be part of it. Then the other point that for me was really, really fundamental in terms of a learning process, and it's a key takeaway as well, it's trust. Okay, so trust is something that I'm always saying this to my team. So if some of you guys are listening to this, most likely you will recognize. So for me, trust is a very, very expensive currency, okay? And you need to use it wisely, okay? Those that meaning deserve the trust, okay, will know how to use it. And trust is important also for the client, okay? You need to trust your team, you need to choose the correct people to be there, okay? And then at the same time, meaning whenever you share your word, you give your word, you need to bound yourself to that, okay? So I think that is one of the things that is also important for you to be mindful of. Then the other point that I really learned throughout my griefs, let's say, during this period of time, this years, let's say, is that intuition is really, really powerful, okay? Intuition and decision, okay? Most of the times, or sometimes, it's all about intuition, okay? There is actually a book that I read that is called Blink, okay? I will drop it on somewhere on the description. Okay, Blink. And Blink is a really interesting book, okay, that showcases that most of our decisions are taken, like 80% of the decision is taken on the first minutes or so. The first points of contact, you already know what is it that you should be going for, okay? And this is important because, meaning when you are facing difficult times, you need to connect yourself to the decision, and if possible connect yourself to the data part, okay, to the data points, okay? And you have that, you need to decide, move forward. You cannot stay, imagine yourself that you are crossing a train line. You cannot be just waiting for the train to come. You need to choose, you need to pick left or right, okay? With that said, moving towards the next one, it's all about team, okay? I would say that you are as good as you can, or meaning you are as good as the team that you have, okay? So it's fundamental that you bring the best possible team members, that you know how to read their skill sets, and it's like playing puzzle. You should be able to know how to put your puzzle quick and fast enough, and for that it's important that you trust your team, you bring people that can bring added value to the team, okay? Because you are not as good as you think you are, so you need to be mindful of that, and you need to know how to pull the correct people to the correct places, okay? And then focus on unlocking their potential so that they can grow. Then last but not least, my learning, okay, is superpowers, okay? This is not about being a hero, let's say, up to a certain point, but I would say that you need to trust your superpowers. Everyone has talent, everyone has superpowers. You need really to understand what are those, focus on those superpowers, leverage that, okay? My personal advice is don't focus yourself on your pitfalls. You need to understand what are those, but don't focus a lot of time on that, okay? Focus actually on your superpowers, okay? And that closes the session, my friends. Okay, so hopefully this was an interesting session. Okay, please do subscribe, give it a thumbs up, share the word, spread the love, let's say, and the learnings as well. With that said, don't go anywhere. Stick around for the next one that most likely will come hopefully within the next couple of weeks or so. But with that said, nothing else to say. Okay, cheers, take care, enjoy your day. Okay, bye bye, take care.